Hello, this is a video demonstrating how to database new specimen records into Ecdysis when there's zero skeleton data available yet. So in Ecdysis, to be able to add new records, you're going to click My Profile once you have already signed in and have permissions to do database editing. Make sure to contact Chris about giving you those permissions. So click My Profile up in the corner, and then you're going to click on Occurrence Management. And then under Collection Management here, you're going to click on Kenneth S. Norris Center. And if you have a specimen that has zero skeleton data available so far and you need to add a fully new record, you're going to click on Add New Occurrence Record. And that will bring you up to this occurrence editor. And you're going to have a lot of different fields that you can add information to. So the main ones for most of the Norris Center collection is you're going to need to add a catalog number. Now, if a specimen has an old ID number attached to it, but you want to use a new collection ID number, you can add in this tag name, old collection number, and then whatever in this additional identifier value, whatever the old ID number was, and it will show up in the database under this occurrence record as an old specimen ID number. Now, you have collector observer that you need to add. Number is going to be that specimen collector number that is on the bottom of the pin of the insect specimen. For the majority of specimens in the Norris Center, all you're going to need to add is the start date, if it's an individual date that it was collected. Unless the specimen was listed as collected from a range of dates, you're only going to need to enter the individual date listed on the label as the start date. Any associated collectors, this would be listed on the tag, but the majority of the specimens already in the Norris Center do not have associated collectors listed, and that's okay. You can leave this blank. And verbatim date is whatever was exactly written on the label. Now, we got latest identification. The scientific name is the most specific identification available for the insect. So you can do family. So for example, if you had an aphid, you can start searching up aphidae and you can click on that. If you have a genus, so you had like Bombus, you can have just the genus. Or if you had even further one like Bombus osnosenskii, you can click on that. And all of the information of the author, the family, that will all be auto-filled, so you don't need to worry about that. Ecdysis does that for you. So you also are going to need to have who identified the insect, and definitely have the date that it was identified. In this locality, you're going to want to add as much information available to you, such as country, state, county. Locality is more specific information, such as if there's street name, and then latitude and longitude if it was available. You can do verbatim coordinates. Make sure, and if there's any elevation, make sure that it's listed in meters. That is what Ecdysis reads it as. And And then in miscellaneous, if you have any more specific information, um, habitat is going to be anything related to the environment as it was collected. For the substrate category, many of the Randall Morgan specimens have a note maybe listed as on sand, on gravel, something like that. And that would go into substrate. Associated taxa, if there was a plant or another insect that it was found on or on top of, that's where you're going to list any of that information. Description is going to list any information about the specific specimen that has about the qualities of the specimen itself. For most of the collection, we do not have anything that has a description, but if you have one, that's where it goes. Notes could be for any information about maybe it was associated with a student project, life stage. You can put this in. It's not necessary at all. Sex, if it's available. Sampling protocol, many of the specimens, especially moths, have a little collection note on them that says UV light or black light, and that refers to how it was collected, so you can put that in here. And then the rest of these boxes aren't super important. If you have anything that is relevant and could go into any of these categories, feel free to add it. But don't worry too much if it doesn't have that information available to you. The curation box, not much of this is important information to fill out for our records, our purposes. The only thing that you might want to think about adding is this label project. This label project category can be where you add any information about a specific, maybe research project that these specimens were collected on and maybe donated to the museum from. Again, it's not necessary to add that, but if that information is available, it's good to list it there. The rest of the categories in this curation box are not necessary and probably don't have information to fill out from this. I'm now going to go over what this catalog number is referring to for the Norris Center. So we currently have, at the time I'm filming this video, 4 catalog codes. Now this could, now there could be more codes added in the future, so make sure that you refer to our document in the Norris Center Google Drive of what our current catalog codes are for the entomology collection. So our main one in the Norris Center is going to be the UCSC RMIC, which is the Randall Morgan Insect Collection, which constitutes most of the collection. The next would be the UCSC MWIC, which is the Michael Wilson Insect Collection. You've got UCSC AGSB, that's the Sarah Bothwell Agricultural Surveys, and the NRS Resurvey, which is the Natural Reserve Resurvey. So all catalog codes are followed by the specimen ID number on the bottom label of the specimen. It's important to note that there is a major exception to this rule. And I'll talk about that in a second. But you can see in this example, the specimen from the Michael Wilson insect collection had a code of 82814, it would have the code UCSC MWIC 82814 in Ecdysis. That is the catalog number you would add here in a new occurrence record. Okay. Now the exception. The UCSC Randall Morgan catalog numbers are usually start with the regular code UCSC RMIC, but if the specimen ID number is a 6-number string, the code is going to be followed by a 0 before the specimen ID number. So Randall Morgan collected insects mostly from 1989 to 1999. There are some early 2000s specimens, but first two numbers in the specimen IDs for Randall Morgan's collection relate to the year that Randy collected. So a specimen ID number of 912401 by Randall Morgan was collected in 1991. You can see that in the first two numbers. And then a catalog number with specimen ID of 895331 was collected in 1989. 997219 was collected in 1999, so on and so forth. Now, most of these specimen ID numbers are a string of 6 numbers, and very few have a string of 7 numbers. The ones with a string of 7 numbers were years that Randy collected way more specimens and had to increase a number because there were just so many. Now let's do a quick example real quick to make sure that we understand what's going on with this. You are searching Ecdysis using the catalog number for an insect collection by Randall Morgan. The specimen ID number is a 6-number string, 925544. You can see in the picture here. What is the catalog number for this bug? Here's the answer. UCSC RMIC 0, because it's 6 numbers, 925544. Easy peasy. Here's another example. You're searching Ecdysis using the catalog number for an insect collected by Randall Morgan. Specimen ID number is a 7-number string, 9255445. What is the catalog number for this bug? And you can see at the picture again. So UCSC RMIC no 0, 9255445. So let's do an example with actual specimens that need to be entered into Ecdysis as new occurrence records. I have a spreadsheet here of undatabased specimens from Michael Wilson that need to be entered into Ecdysis. So if you can see here, I have the list of information that I pulled from the label itself. So it makes it very easy for me to enter this into Ecdysis. And let's clear this real quick. All right. So our collector is Michael Wilson. So we've got a catalog number starting with UCSC MWIC. The collector number is 8000025. So our catalog number is UCSC MWIC 8000025. All right. I'm just going to copy and paste this into the catalog number field. It gives me a little information, no duplicates found. Now, these specimens had an old collector number on the specimen itself that we want to replace. This number isn't super important, but it's good to have as a reference just in case it is relevant anywhere in our collection. So I'm going to put this in as old collection number. Make sure that when you're entering stuff into Ecdysis, do not press enter or return. It's going to add this automatically. And we have a lot more information to add, and that would just make things way more complicated. All right. So now that we've got the catalog number and the old ID number listed there, we need to add who's the collector. The collector here is M. Wilson. So we're going to do Michael Wilson. And the number is this collector number, which is the individual specimen number on the bottom of each specimen. All right. And the date, let's scroll over here in our spreadsheet. Here we have year collected and event date. All right. This is the format that we want to enter the date as. Year, so 1984, month, 02, day, 29. We don't have a end date because this was just a singular day collected. So just ignore the end date for the specimen. All right. Associated collectors, this specimen had no associated collectors, so we can ignore that as well. And the verbatim date I have listed here was listed as 29 Feb 1984. Perfect. Now we're going to have to add the scientific name. So we're going to add Spilosoma vagans. And you're going to see it when I enter this here, it pops up. And that means it's spelled right, and Ecdysis recognizes it as a species. There we go. It autofilled all these things. Now we got to enter who identified it. And for this specimen, it was R.G. Robertson. I'll enter that here. And then the date identified, you're going to want to put this in a year, month, day format. But for this specimen, we only have the year. So that's all we'll add. Now let's work on locality. So this was collected in USA, state of California, county of Santa Cruz. Awesome. And then the locality, we've got all of this information. Bonnie Dune, Back Ranch Road, 1.5 miles south of Bald Mountain School. I'm just doing, this is verbatim of what it said on the label, and I'm going to enter it in verbatim as locality for the specimen. All right, security. I did not go over this. If you have a specimen that is maybe endangered or threatened, that you don't want people publicly being able to access where the specimen is found, you can apply local security or full security. Local security is just going to hide the area it was collected, and full security is going to hide all the information about the specimen for the public looking at the database. For the specimen, we don't need it. Now we've got latitude and longitude. We don't have that for the specimen. So, but we do have elevation. Now on Ecdysis, the elevation wants you to enter in as meters, but we have it listed on the specimen in feet. Luckily, what we can do is instead of putting the information of elevation here in this box, we can put it in verbatim elevation. So I'm going to write 700 feet because that's how it was listed, and it's going to automatically populate what the conversion is to meters there. We don't have any depth, so we can skip over that. All right, habitat. This specimen did not have any habitat information, so I'm not going to put anything there. It didn't have a sex. It didn't have any associated taxa, and it didn't have any description. What it did have was sampling protocol. So I'm going to enter that there as blacklight because that's how it was collected by. And we don't have any more information for this section. For curation, we also don't have any information with the specimen specifically that would need to be entered here. So yeah, after you're done with that, make sure you've checked over all of the information to make sure that's correct and you don't have anything missing. And then once you're done with that, you can press at the very bottom, add a record. And so I'm going to do that right now. There you go. If I were to go back to Ecdysis and want to search for this new record, I can go to Classic Search, deselect all, open up this institutional collections, scroll down or Command F to the Kenneth S. Norris Center search. And now I'm going to enter in this specimen catalog number into here, the catalog number section. Search, and you're going to see this new specimen. If you click on full record details, you're going to see that all the information I entered is now available, and you can see all the information associated with this specific specimen. All right, that is how to add specimens to Ecdysis as new occurrence records.